Yo, welcome everybody back to the GodXP Spiritual Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Polanco. We are very lucky to have our guest today. Meosha Bean is an award-winning filmmaker, director, actress, and she has a truly inspirational story of self-belief, perseverance, and defying the odds. Meosha is best known for her series Anatomy of an Antihero on Amazon, and for working with many celebrities and famous people on other series, features, and music videos. You can learn more about Meosha Bean on her podcast, Creator to Creators, which you can find on Instagram at Meosha Bean Official and on podcast platforms everywhere. Meosha and I met in LA years ago through a mutual friend, and we've shared many great memories of smiles and laughter together, but we have not spoken since that time until now. Still, I've kept up with Meosha's incredible self-made career. Her story is an inspiration to me, to women of color, and to all creators out there with a creative dream of life to pursue. Welcome, Meosha.
Thank you. What a fantastic intro.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great
you for
to
having me.
It's great to talk you up. I've known you for many years, and it's just great to see your career unfold. And there was, as I was looking, I was like sleuthing through your IMDb. I was like, wow, she's done so much since I've met her, and you were already working when we met 5 years ago. So very impressed with that. Very impressed with all you've been working on lately.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's when I get like intros, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually do work a lot. Sometimes I forget because I'm on a go person. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
the things you probably think are not important are actually still really important to some people. Everything you create sticks with some people, and I think like we as creators tend to have the next thing in mind, and we forget all the cool stuff that we've already built along the way.
That's completely my life, and it's a really good reminder. Like sometimes I've always been that person growing up, like very much, I don't know where I get it from, but maybe my mom, like someone that's always thinking ahead. What am I going to do in years from now? My mom's be a kid, enjoy being 15, relax, it's okay. So I don't know. And I think with the industry, I just became like a workaholic, and I still am technically.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
It's interesting. I was thinking about that, or I wrote a little bit about it in my daily journaling, about how I became so addicted to pursuing my goals and success so that I could be more of a creator. And I think over time, I've just worked being a creator into like how I make money. But yeah, we got into this, hey, I got to hustle really hard so I can be a success. But really all we wanted to do was just create in the first place.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
I think we can get lost like in the career part of it, but really we're just trying to create as much as we can.
Yeah, definitely. That's literally all I love to do. Yes, I love creating, and I think at this point of my life, it's more so the journey has definitely changed to, like, you only get one go around, and you can figure out the things that matter. Your mindset shifts a little bit the older you get. And you're like, oh, I want to talk about important things that are, to me, that's hopefully going to move the culture forward. My little micro level of influence up being a part of that conversation. So that's where I am now.
Yeah. So making a contribution that's going to last.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So like why film, or beside actually making film, what do you feel is that bigger contribution that you're trying to leave behind when you make a new film, or when you work on a new show, or any video project?
Yeah, I think big thing that I've noticed is, I meet a lot of women from all over, women of color, and not just women of color, just women in general. But I find that the conversations that we're having when I meet them are conversations that I had when I first started. Things like, how do you do this? And why does this happen? And being a woman, it's really hard. And we just have those really real conversations about like, how do you do this? How do you navigate in this weird industry that we're working in? And I always say now the conversations, I want to be able to give what I've gone through, like maybe not show them the way, because there's no one way, there's multiple ways, but just what helped me get through those times of uncertainty of what am I doing? I think two is what I usually always tell people is that now my message is more of, I just don't want to make films. I want to leave a message, whether it's like something that's important to me, whether that's mean like self-love, whether that's depending on whatever the topic is. It could be inspired by friends or family or what's happening at the moment. But I definitely want to live in an industry that's so we'll be canceled for telling the truth of what we feel or what's going against the grain or what's going against the machine, rather, because Hollywood is this big, huge conglomerate of people that it's like this, you get to Hollywood and it's all these things and you get there and you realize it's not exactly what I wanted. And then you kind of get sucked into the weird narrative and you close-minded, and the things that you came there for originally, you don't do them because you get sucked into this weird thing.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, I know who I am. I think that's just because of trial and error. I think it's a process, and I mean, it's still a process. It's an ongoing process. It's choosing what's important to you and not being told what or being put in a box.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole area, Hollywood and LA, has its own like river of thought, like energy. And it's, if you live there, it could be you just get immersed in it. And I think that happens to a lot of people. It's just life. It's like we were saying earlier, you're a creator and you like make a big move to do something where you free yourself and allow yourself to create, but then you've got life and you get stuck in like paying the bills and participating. You got to go out to drink after work, and like you start participating in life. And there becomes less and less time to create. One thing that I think is when we met, I thought it was so fascinating that you moved to LA to make your film dream come true. And you really didn't have like connections to help support you in that. And you just took a leap of faith and you believed in yourself and moved out here and made it work. You made a living. And then you started making more significant projects, and more and more people were being involved. And I'm sure there's still been a lot of ups and downs. Well, how did you make that decision? And so many people have these dreams of moving to Hollywood, moving to LA and making it. And you've made it in your own way. And like, how did you make that decision did you always have that self-belief? And how did you make that choice in your life to believe in yourself and make that happen without any help?
Great question. It's okay. This is going to sound really nuts. And when I was about 15, 16, I remember going to this church event with my parents. And it was this pastor there called me to the front. And I used to sit in the back because I was like really nervous. I was like, oh, please don't call me out. I don't know what's going on. But he called me to the front so I go down to the front and he says, I have a word from you from God. I'm like, okay, I'm open to whatever. Yeah, I'm open. And he basically spoke into my life. He said that I'll never forget it. He said, God sees your heart and you're going to do this and you're a filmmaker but you're going to also use this platform for the greater good and to get people to Christ. And I was like, oh, wow. And he's like, you're going to meet this person. And my mom was like writing it down as this is happening. And so fast forward, maybe like a week later, that person he named reached out to me. And I was like, oh my goodness, wow. What? That's mind blowing. And ever since then, it was like, hey, and this person was located in Texas and I was 17 at the time. And he sent me the script. And then that was like the beginning of everything. But I always say that I think what it is, I had some angels, I guess, helping me out. That's all I can say. It's not my talent. I think I'm just a vessel to want to be used and to be molded to whatever that is that God wants me to be. But I really feel like I just always knew what I wanted to do at a young age. But I knew for sure, okay, this is who I am. There's no other... it's nothing else for me to do. Right. I think that was the decision making. And then I left home at, I think it's 18 years old. It wasn't intentionally to leave. I just did a job and that job turned into, hey, you want to stay here for 2 years? I'm like, okay. And literally that's just how life has happened. Yeah. But I think with you said faith, it's taking that leap of going into the unknown of I don't know how this is going to even unfold, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Here to learn whatever it is I need to learn, because that's what life is about. I think we at times, I think a lot of times we don't get anywhere in our life because we're scared, or it's fear. Fear seeps in, and it stifles us in a way of because it's trial and error. That's what growing is.
Right.
It's how would I know what not to do if I didn't go through this situation, or okay, what to avoid later on. Or I've had a lot of interesting situations that happened to me over time, and I'm so grateful for those moments. I was upset in those moments, and I was like, oh, this sucks, but I'm happy that I had those. It just made me who I am today. So I think I've always known. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
What was like a time where you looked back that was like the hardest time, where you were out in LA by yourself and you weren't making ends meet and you felt like you just want to quit and move home? Maybe you did quit and move home and just had to rebuild. What was one of those times?
Ooh, there's so many, Anthony. There's so many times. I wear stress really well. I might lose weight, but and I'm like, there's nothing. When I made the decision, I tell my mentor, who's, to this day, I call him Uncle Ronnie, but he worked for Warner Brothers, someone that I look up to that hasn't been to that pinnacle, but still is one of the most humble and sweetest guys in the world I've ever met.
Mentor.
And yeah, mentor is very important to have. I remember I went to, there's so many, but I'm going to say, you know what? There's definitely one that sticks out. There was a job. I got this job for this production company. I will keep nameless because they're business. And I get hired. He hires me. Things are going great for about a good 6-7 months. I'm living the high life. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like, he really wants me to thrive and to succeed, and he sees something in me. These are things that he's told me. I see myself in you. And I'm like, wow, he's a really good guy. And I think over maybe roughly 7 months, he started to like text me and, hey, I think you're beautiful, and you're so sexy and all these things. And I'm like, oh gosh, you're married. I know your wife, and really good friends with her. And it's very strange. And I was like, and you were told as a woman in the industry, like, take it and just smile and all. You want to keep your job. And that's really what I was thinking was, I just want to keep this job. It's good money. To what price? So it got to the point where it was like becoming increasingly impossible to work, and it was really distracting. I'm at work and he's texting me, even it got to the point it was so hard to like go get a check, to pick up my check. He would make it impossible for me to do these things without doing other things. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Right. I told you, I just want to work, and that's it. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I think the last straw was, it was like, he gave me an ultimatum, and he wrote this check out for me it was a lot of money. It was more money than I've ever seen in my life at that age. At that time, I was early 20s. Yeah. And he's like, how much do you want? He's like, name your price. And I'm like, are you serious? He's anything you want. He's like, I can help you. And all I need in exchange is this. And I was like, if I was that person that didn't know myself, and not to judge others that do it, I'm just saying, for me, my respect for myself means a lot more. So I said no, and I walked away. And those checks stopped. I was not working anymore for at least a good 2 months. So imagine not working. You're just like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Did I make a mistake?
Yeah.
It was a fork in the road there of choice for you.
Definitely.
Wow.
But I had ramen noodles and I made it work. It was like, there's just, no matter what happens, I'm married to it. That's what it is.
Yeah. You're a woman of principles.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it takes to make it as a creator, though. You have your values that you're pursuing, and you have to say no to everything else. And it's hard, especially when you're hungry. But that's something that we've had to do.
Yeah, but then you think about the price. What price would you pay to live a certain life? And it's, for me, yes, I'm always a big advocate of your self-respect is more important then whatever, that, because at the end of the day, it's like, it doesn't last forever. You're not going to be happy to look at yourself in the mirror for the things that I want to be able to look at myself and say, I'm okay with the choices that I've made. I'm good. I can live with that. That's just for me and my narrative. And the principles that I was given and raised with growing up have a great foundation. Good parents, so that I do give them a lot of credit for the way I am, how I think. So I think without that, I would definitely have taken the bait many times.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how certain things about our parents we try to get away from. And then as we get older, we see our parents in our decision making and in our thinking. And I notice as I get older, I'm a lot more like my dad. And they're just the things that I was ignoring about myself. But the very values that we make our decisions on, they're rooted in our earliest memories of what's most important. And it's so interesting how when we're young, we try to get away from that. And then as we get older, we start to accept that part of ourselves.
Yeah.
But you had great parents. I remember you always telling me about your family, and you're always really excited to go back home and visit.
Yeah.
So they've been a huge inspiration. Are you there now? Are you living in LA now? Where are you?
Oh, no, I'm definitely not in LA anymore. Not many people know this.
You don't have to.
I like to move in silence, but I will definitely tell you after.
You say general, yeah. So you're still in the United States.
Yes.
Somewhere in the US.
I should say something exotic, like I'm in France.
Okay, so Anatomy of an Antihero then, for people who don't know, what is this? Is this still your flagship series that you're working on? Would you consider this like your priority number one project?
Right now? No. So Anatomy of Antihero started 5 years ago it was actually a series originally. And then it turned into a feature over time. I was hired to direct the series, and it was with my friend Alan, who's the star of Anatomy.
He's great.
He's
by the way.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. I've known him now for 12 years. We've known each other
Wow.
a long time, and we've always been someone that just meet people, and you're like, you're going to be that person that we're going to create forever. That's for me. I love creating with friends, and we can come together and do what we love to do and make money and have a great time doing it together. That actually is not the priority, but it is out. I helped produce the last one that we did last year. I was on there as a producer. I didn't direct last year. It was David Worth. He's the director that he's in Bloodsport with, I don't know if you're familiar with martial. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are familiar with martial arts. What am I talking about?
Bloodsport many times. Proud to admit.
Yeah, he's worked for Clint Eastwood. He's a cinematographer. He directed that, and that was fun to be on that. But now there's a lot of things I did last year prior to moving. I got back into acting a little bit. I got a role, so that was really fun. So that's something coming out that I'm really excited about.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. I get little clues from your Instagram posts. Like, okay, this is something you might be working on here and there.
Keep it mysterious.
It's hard because
exciting.
With this kind of stuff, it doesn't come out for a while after you're done making it, so you can't really share too much.
Oh my gosh, so I'm in a writers group, but we wrote a feature, 12 writers, directors, and we wrote a feature anthology, and that was a lot.
Wow. So you guys all work on one thing together at a time? Yeah. That's awesome.
This is the group that group of horror, thriller, psychological directors, like writers. And these guys, I don't even know why I was like, I'm not a writer. And then I've been in the group for a good 2 years. Yeah. And they taught me so much. And I'm so grateful that I took the job, because I was scared. But I do things that scare me and that I'm not familiar with.
Then getting into writing horror films is a good choice if you like things that scare you.
Yes. It's so funny. I always say, people think that they're like, you're a horror, you like monsters and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm more of like a psychological horror filmmaker, like someone that deals in the realism, like real life situations that could go horribly wrong. Like your Jordan Peele's, people like that kind of give you those, like, obviously Get Out. That could never happen, but it was really scary to think.
Yeah.
It's a good trip.
Yeah. Whoa.
So,
yeah. What are some of your other favorite like horror directors or psychological horror directors?
That's a really good question. The reason why I got into filmmaking originally was Alfred Hitchcock. I remember watching Birds and like I literally went on a binge watch of one summer. I was like 16, 17 years old. And I rented all of his Alfred Hitchcock's Presents, his tapes. So it shows you how old I am. Gosh. And I watched it and I literally was like, I love everything this man does. I want to do that. So he would essentially take these like short films and he would make these little concepts of just, he was just so beyond his time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made me want to get into the horror aspect of it all. And yeah, short films. And then short films graduated to features. So yeah, Alfred Hitchcock is definitely one of my favorites. Stanley Kubrick. God, there's so many. It's a lot. It's a lot. There's just so much out there, so much content. It's like, how do you...
Sure. Yeah, sure. Of course.
Crazy.
But you didn't start with horror though. When you moved out and you started getting projects.
No, I was running. It's funny. You're going to laugh. I was the coffee runner girl. But it's like certain sets. Okay. So I'm like...
For how long?
Thinking at the beginning. So I would go in for a job, for a certain type of job, and they would put me somewhere else. And I'm like, that's weird. I was told, hired for this particular job title, and they're like, hey, could you get us some coffee? I'm like, okay. So I do it. But it's humbling. I must say, I'm like, wow, that's a lot. It's a lot to just keep running around. But it was great to just be like on set. But I was like, I can't do this forever. This is definitely not for me. I think I did this for at least for about 2 months with this producer guy. And it's funny, he told me he was going to get me this job, a certain job, but I think it was because I was a woman that he didn't trust that judgment.
I see. So you just ended up at the entry-level job and just stuck there.
Yeah. And then finally I was like, I can't stay here because he's not going to give me another position at all. It wasn't going to happen. I noticed it quickly.
Yeah, you were stuck there. But hey, for at least your first project, you got to be on a set and you didn't show up and not get to work around cameras at all. And then, so what came next? What was your first actual paid project that was substantial when you got here? When you got in LA?
That's a great question. There was this film called Stolen Breath. I was hired as a cinematographer. So I originally went to film school. That's when I was younger, and for a few years, and acting as well, modeling school. But I got hired as a cinematographer on that feature, and I met with the director. I think I met him at Starbucks or something like that. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. But he was like, hey, we just started talking. And yeah, I have a script. Yeah, I write and I do this, and he's check out my work, and I did. I was like, oh, cool. Keep in touch. And so he did reach out to me, and he sent me something sometime later. There's this feature that I'm working on. I'd love to hire you as a cinematographer. So I sent him my reel, and he's like, I'm going to take a chance on you. I like it. I like your spunk. And I'm like, all right. So that was my first like professional gig.
Nice. It was serendipity just by proximity, just by being around. That's amazing.
Seriously. That's how most of the jobs.
That's just so beautiful. You do so much work to promote yourself, and then you just walk into a Starbucks. They don't even know anything about you.
At all.
That's so amazing.
I love those.
Yeah. So you do your first paid project, and there was probably a lot of times where there was gaps in your projects where you're having to work at jobs that you don't care for, or how quickly were you just starting to do project after project?
You're gonna think I'm crazy. I never had a 9 to 5 ever in my life. I just make it work.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because I knew when I was younger that I did not have the education. I was not that kind of kid in school. I just wasn't. I'm not kidding. I was never that kid. I was like, if I don't figure something out, this is just not going to be good for me. Like, I just know school wasn't my forte. It was just not. I did good, but I wasn't like, oh, I can fall in math, or I can be a teacher. I'm like, this is just not, it's not me.
Me too.
Actually,
that's not how I was either. I think that's a true creative. We're just like, yeah, we can't even go to a creative school. Like, we got to do what we're going to do.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one job I did work at because I was like, I need to make some money. And that was when I was living in Colorado Springs. And then I remember one day I got it. And then I think I didn't even stay that long. I was like, there was like something that happened. And I think I was like, what am I doing? I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
This is death. I'm going to kill myself doing this. And I left. And that's when I made the move to go to California.
Wow.
Right after that. So it wasn't even that long, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't have a 9-to-5 in Cali at all. People say, are you crazy? I was like, no, I didn't. Again, that was God thing. I tell people that doesn't happen to everyone. I just think I got pretty blessed with that situation that I was in. There was I always pay homage to this amazing man. He knew me before I knew myself. I don't know if that makes any sense. He knew of my work before coming out to LA at all. I was doing short films and I had like on YouTube, I would get 100,000 views here. I was very active. I did blogging. I had this whole channel and I was super into it and I grew a lot of followers and he would watch some of my stuff, this particular guy. And when I got to LA, sometime later, he reached out to me and I met with him. And he was the nicest man. I met his mom as well. And he wasn't like a creep or anything. I wasn't like fearful at all. And he was like, hey, I think you're just amazing. And I asked him, I said, how did you discover me? And I've known of your work since YouTube. And I was like, oh my God, you're like, that's scary.
Yeah.
He's like, I watch everything. Actually, I knew of you before you got on YouTube. I knew you had another channel. So I used to do this like gaming thing years ago called The Movies, and you could make movies through this like really fun game thing. It's kind of like a Sims. So I'd make these little short stories and that's
awesome
thing online. And he was one of the users. Yeah.
Dang.
And I was like, holy moly. So he was like, I would love to help you with your career and whatever it is that I can do. He's like, but I see that you're going to go. So I don't know. You just have this, you have something, you have it. And I'm like, whatever you say. And he was like, if you ever need a place to stay, let me know. And I was like, are you serious? So
that's amazing.
I was good I didn't have to worry about any place after that.
That was a true patron of the arts. He just saw like talent and art that he loved. And he was like, I want to support this no matter whatever it takes. Yeah,
again, I don't think it's me because there's so many beautiful people in LA. As in the industry, everyone's gorgeous. The dog is beautiful. But I feel like it's about, I don't know, it's God at the end of the day.
Yeah,
for sure. I can't take any credit.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's amazing. That's great. Yeah. And also you had to just be stubborn enough to make it work and to make those decisions to not change course, even during the slow times. It just takes waiting it out till you get the hot hand again when you're creating. So you had your struggles coming up in the beginning, but what about now? How has it changed? What makes success in film difficult for people today in 2022? What's changed since you started?
What's changed? I feel like I'm at a place now in my life. I think when you get in your 30s, you don't care what people think. You don't care about fitting in. It's like a really good place to be. And I love it. I love being this mature woman where I am now in my life, where I am unapologetically myself, authentically myself. And I wasn't that way in my 20s. I really wasn't. I was trying to always be a part of the narrative of what's happening now.
Yeah.
Chasing that is empty and it doesn't do anything for you. You just become one of like most people that come to LA, unfortunately. I think what is better now is that I have more peace of mind. I'm very sure of what I want to do as far as like the path that I'm on now. There's no, I'm getting phone calls. It's more of as before. The difference is I was chasing something versus now I'll get the calls. I'm not
Yeah.
waiting by the phone for work. And that's a really wonderful place to be. And I think that's over time though,
Yeah, for sure.
because I think the more you water a seed, right, it will grow. It's just sticking to it. I think a lot of times people give up right when it's like you're right here. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, you can make anything happen for you. Absolutely anything. I remember going to pitching at Fox Studio a lot and going over here and in these rooms, and I'm thinking to myself, so it like wow, and I think about the times of like me running around for coffee to where I am now. It's like, all right, saying the course does pay off. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Is just whatever it is that you want to do and not being conformed by what others tell you to do or what you should do in your life. What you want, you can have that. I feel like that's where I am as far as I'm very sure of what I want. And it's not even about the fame for me. It's more of just being a working creator. That's what I've always wanted to do. But unfortunately, that stuff comes with it because you got to you got to meet the people. You got to go to these little events. I hate doing those.
It's never perfect, but yeah. Keeps getting
You
closer and
gotta,
closer.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've seen it as well. When I started, I had to do a lot of I was taking marketing clients, doing social media for clients that weren't even really like related to me and just to make the money, but I was still feeling creative and doing creative work. And then as I kind of I started paying off credit cards, and then I had enough clients where I didn't have to always be selling and trying to get clients. Then I was able to decide, you know what? Yeah, this is all pretty good, but it's not really what I'm here to do. And so I was able to start chiseling some of that off. I think finding your path requires like getting distracted by things that are similar to your path until you figure out what the path is. And in your 20s, I think it's a lot of that figuring out time, trying things and realizing, but having the courage to keep trying is essential. I don't know if it's courage or just like perseverance. Like you got to be willing to take your lumps, basically.
Absolutely. Even, what I remember going to, God, who was it? It was either Justin Bieber or someone like that. Someone in the music. They were talking about no, it was, I think someone to do with music. I've had so many conversations over the time, I get it mixed up, but it was definitely like, oh, okay, even at that level, they're still experiencing, they have it all essentially. They're at the pinnacle of the top of their career, but they're still dealing with things, whether it's with self or they're just dealing with things on a different level. It never goes away. You're always going to be dealing with something. You're never going to get to a point where you're like, okay, I made it. That's enough for me. I don't have to grow anymore. No, you're going to go through it just on a bigger scale, just more things at stake.
Totally.
The more you have, the more you have to lose.
You just get used to living with the sucky part of it. That's all it is. You just get used to.
And have you noticed that? Yeah. Have you noticed that? Like even with just like certain celebrities, it's the whole Johnny Depp, Amber Heard situation. Just hearing that case was just really bizarre. And I'm like, wow, even them.
With all the resources and everything they have, still you would think that would solve a lot of the emotional problems that one would have in life.
I think it brings more though.
Yeah, could be. It could just be harder to fix them when you have a lot of things to distract you.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have this path that you're on, and do you feel like do you have this end goal in mind? Do you feel like you started with an end goal, or do you feel like you're at a place where you're just creating the best things you can and you have faith that when you get to the end, it's going to look as best as it could? Or do you have this end destination, like I want to make this level film or something like that?
Okay, that's a great question, by the way. I've always wanted to be my like self-made kind of person. Like I've always wanted to do what I wanted to do. And the reason why I chose this path was because I could have conform or go by the rule book or whatever, do it this way and do what everybody's like, having get this, do all that. And I've had agents, I've had managers, just cool. And I haven't been an agent, but I got to a point of my life where I've seen some really bad things in the industry that kind of scared me a little bit, that made me feel like, ooh, if that's what I have to do to stay or maintain this, that I don't think I want that level of success.
I see.
Because when you're giving something, you give up something. I don't know if that makes sense without saying exactly what it is, but you give a piece of yourself to it. Like you got your Marilyn Monroe's stories, a tragic story. She was just got discovered and that she had the American dream, but she was miserable. I don't want to be miserable in the pursuit of what I want to create. And a lot of people are in the industry. They put on a great face, but behind closed doors, there's demons you have to fight. There's the decisions you've made way back when still affects you now, or you become like almost like a puppet and you're not really in control of your own voice, your own narrative. So there's things that people might don't understand, like, why does this happen? But I remember going to this party and I had to sign this non-disclosure, and it was like, oh, like it was at that time I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. But then I was like, oh, okay, I don't think I want this. Whatever this is, I'm good on that side. I don't want that part of it.
Yeah.
Just want to create and be happy. No, that's it. So I made a decision to go independent because I could have went a little mainstream, but there were things that I wasn't really willing to do to have that. So I think for me now, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the decision. I don't desire that whole glory or whatever you want to call it, that level of fame, because it's scary. It depends on what level you want.
Totally.
But the end goal is just to be my own, create. I mean, I can still work and I meet a lot of celebrities and I work with celebrities, but I can't explain it without making it seem crazy. When you get around, in order to be somewhere at that level, there's things that you must do to keep it.
So do you feel like it's like everyone's dream, at least as a creative, to have your own agency and your own creative domain where you create your own thing? And I think it's becoming more popular for people to try to start on YouTube and then just build up their own personal brand. Do you feel like that? I know that's a huge inspiration for people to hear that you were just like, fuck it, I'm gonna make the kinds of films I want to make, and I'm gonna live out here, and I'm gonna ask people if they want to work with me. And you just made it happen, started creating your own domain, your own creative empire. And that's what I want people to realize that they can do, is just say, fuck the game, I'm gonna make my own game, and just keep making moves, just act, take action against the grain if need be. And so you are able to do that, and you continue to do that. How do you see that changing for people? Do you see in the future it's going to be easier for creatives to make it on their own without the machine of like Hollywood, the machine of blockbuster films? Like, how can people think about trying to make it on their own? And just how should people think about creating their own creative empire in life?
Yeah. Do I feel like I think it's, there's no excuse to not like get to what you need to do, whatever it is that you want. I feel like we're living in a time that is it's a great time. As far as social media is huge. People can see yourself. You can connect with people that you probably could never connect to without social media. So there's a positive side to social media. I think most of my jobs have definitely been through social media. Like a lot of them have been through, like, people would say, oh, I saw something of yours and I reached out to you on social. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Awesome. Which is great. So social media does bring people together. I think you can use it to your advantage. But again, you have to put in that work. Sometimes work means like you're going to have to put, it could be 10 years from now. It could be 5, or it could be, whatever you're putting in will come out eventually. But you have to have patience. And I think, yeah, that's what it is. It's that you can't give up. That's literally,
That's it.
That's the bottom line.
Do you think that because of how social media is today versus how it was, say, 10 years ago, that a lot of creators are going to quit before they get any traction? Because, if you had a YouTube channel 10 years ago, you could make videos and they would go viral. But like now, very few videos go viral that people will make. They'll get way less organic engagement than they used to. So I feel like so many great creators are going to just quit because they're trying to get validation way too soon and way too early. Whereas back when we started, you knew you weren't going to get validation until you put in the work, until you worked for a year and for me, it would be a music album, or for you, it'd be like you have a series of shorts or something. But now people will put out a video or they'll put out a song and it doesn't go viral. And so they just, after a year or 18 months even, they're going to quit.
And that's unfortunate, because you shouldn't go off of what viewers is, because the people that are meant to see it will see it. Like literally, that's all I can say. I remember, I think, and then again, the people that are getting viral videos have a team that are putting their stuff out. Like Kim Kardashian, look at her followers, and Beyonce, you see all these celebrities. They have a team that does the work for them. And then they've gotten to a level in their career to maintain those, television down to all kind of things. I think a lot of people want that validation really early, and that's the problem in social media. It's not about, well, unfortunately, it's, the more viewers or followers you have, then that means you're talented. But I know people who are working and living as a director or writer, and they have 300 followers, right, and they actually work in the industry. Mm-hmm. They go and clock into Warner Brothers when everyone's like, they're trying to get in there. So it really doesn't matter about followers. It just really matters. And I feel like social media does tell you that lie of, it's like, the more followers, then that means you've made it. Yes. What is that supposed to mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Totally. Yeah. And that when you meet someone who has like a bunch of followers and they're just like totally normal, and they're like, some of them don't even really pay that much attention to it. Or they're like, yeah, I don't get any money from that. They're just like, who cares? And
everyone's trying to make money on it.
Yeah, that's a really great point that I want people to take away. And I definitely got wrapped up in that when I was younger. And now when I make content, I think of it as like leaving something for someone at some point in the future, even if it's just one person, and reminding myself that, like, hey, for a long time after I'm gone, family members are going to want to know what I thought, and they're going to want to see my stuff. And people who, when I die, people I grew up with are going to be like, hey, what was Anthony's music when he was this age and this age, or whatever I was thinking at the time, working on the podcast, or, when I wrote a book 2 years ago, and I knew that wasn't going to be the best book I ever wrote, but I had to write something when I was at this time. Right. I think another point on that is that creators are always like, I'm not good enough yet. And you're going to miss out on all these little snapshots of your life where you could have created something to remember it. That's just one way to look about creating. Yeah.
I love that. What do you want what is the end goal for you, if I may ask?
I've changed it so many times. And the one that's really stuck with me is just every day when I wake up, I want to help one person, leave something that helps one person, and to live each day like if it's going to be my last. So I wake up and I pray, God, if this is the day I die, then thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm ready to live it like 100%. And so I go out and live life. If when I go to sleep tonight, that's it. And that's been my guiding philosophy the last few years. And it helps me create stuff without putting pressure on myself, like, about my identity. Is this truly me, or is this the best I can do? It's like, today I'm going to do the best I can do, and I'm going to try to put something out. And if not, then something will be that much closer to getting published for someone to to be helped. Sometimes it's about depression recovery. I want to help people with depression because that was a thorn in my side for so many years. It's about connecting with God because when I was young, I dealt with who is God and what is God. And I realized that everyone in every religion struggles with this, and that there's truths in every religion for people to get inspiration from. And so I try to put stuff out about God so that people can think of God in a different way that's not so biased. And like really the music thing all kind of points to that too. Like I put out songs because I feel like as a man, I should be able to sing whenever I want. It's not it's like a thing of freedom. It's not a thing of showing off. For me, it's like expressing freedom and showing people that it's okay to express yourself freely. And so,
I love that.
Yeah, I think like my life is a statement of like self-expression, and as a creative, just like self-expression and following your own path.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And congrats on everything that you're doing. Music, that's absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely incredible.
Thank you. I just try to create stuff. I was so wrapped up in my identity for so many years that I wasn't actually really creating that much. I was just like making one thing and then holding on to it. Look, everyone. I just want to create. I don't want to start thinking about what are people going to think about me or what are people going to think about it. I think the best artists just say, fuck it, I'm going to make as much as I can, whatever I want. And when I'm dead, you can decide, you know?
Yeah. And that's what being a creative is. I've had some really bad reviews from films that I've done over the years. I've had some harsh ones. I remember reading this one. I was like, I was super proud of it. And there's this production company, they did a review of my film. It was on Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like, ouch. But it was good. It was good because I could take criticism. I think that's one thing you have to do is be able to, when you put art out there, everyone has the choice to critique it. I mean, it's out there, right? It's out there for everyone to watch.
Yeah.
So it comes with it. And it's like, all right, I'll take, because again, I mean, I want to be better. I want to get better, continue to grow. And the only way I can do that is I don't mind someone like killing me and stabbing me as long as I can get better from that and grow. That's good for me.
It's validating that someone would do that impersonal, like they don't know you. They're not thinking like it's going to help or it's going to hurt your feelings or help your feelings. They're not even thinking about you. They're thinking about your film like it's a valid piece of thing to critique. And so that's validating in a way. Like they're saying this is a part of like society now. So I have to like contribute, like I have to judge it.
Yeah, I know it's really validating when you get people right. Like they'll write you and they'll be like, I never knew, like, you just never know who's watching your stuff. I remember getting in a book and I had no idea I was even in a book. And someone was like, hey, did you see a write up? I was like, no, send it. So it was a book about women in film and I was mentioned in it. I was like, wow, that's nuts. I didn't even know. I just had no idea. No one's told. They never wrote me or contacted me. So I was like, that means a lot. That's really cool that someone thinks. And it was a film that I did when it was, like in 2017. They mentioned that one. I'm like, I hated that one, but to someone else, they love it.
Yes.
So, hey, thank you.
That's huge. And that's a huge point that, that people should take, especially creators, that you don't know which one's the good one. You're biased to your own thing. So the good one, you probably had it on the shelf and didn't want to put it out. And then you put it out and that was the good one. You'll never see it. Like everyone else is going to see it as the good one. But when you're creating, you're not able to see your own work without bias because that's what you're creating. You're creating like your interpretation of reality. And for other people, they're going to see it totally different. You got to put stuff out. You don't know what's going to be the thing that gets you in a book.
Yeah, never know.
If you never made that, if you never put it out, then that wouldn't have happened.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's really wild. It's all the little small things that I've done over time that I find very interesting. It's like, I remember horror noir, that actually put me on the map more so than any of my projects. That one, and I've worked with a lot of celebrities, but that was the one that everyone still to this day recognizes me for. They're like, oh my God, you're from horror noir. I'm like, wow, that's crazy how this documentary turned into, they're showing this in schools now, which is great, in colleges and as a college course. as a course. I've read like people were like, oh man, this is a part of, it's like a part of the culture. And I felt, wow, I'm a part. I didn't know I was even going to do something culturally life changing, or I just was like, I got the call, hey, how do you feel about talking about Black film and horror, particularly how Black people are depicted in the horror genre, from the first recorded director, who was an African-American man, Oscar Muscow, to where we are now with Jordan Peele winning a Oscar for Get Out. And I was like, yeah, count me in. I'm totally down. And that was in 2018. They called me, and then we shot it in 2019. And so I get to set, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I'm just like talking and asking questions, and it was amazing. Rachel True from The Craft, just everyone, Keith David from The Thing, the original actor, director who did The Night of the Living Dead. Are you kidding me? Like, it was like, whoa, what is happening now? But those are the small little seeds that you sow, and then someone sees it and like, hey. So Jordan Peele is in it. It was absolutely amazing, to just like a pinch me moment, for sure.
So where can people watch that?
Oh, you can find that on Shudder. It's okay. Shudder is with, I think Shudder is with AMC or someone else, but it's on Shudder. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it. You can buy it, Blu-ray, DVD. You can just type in horror noir, the history of Black horror, and all of it'll pop up.
That's so cool.
It was really cool.
So why do you think it is that it picked up culturally? Is just because people are so interested in the Peele movies, or?
I love Peele.
Yeah, it could be very well the reason why, because he's done such an amazing job on these films he's putting out. People are interested in learning more about that.
I think it was just I think anyone can watch it. It's not just for Black people to watch. It's just talking about how Black people were depicted in horror. Because I remember the director would say, amazing director, Xavier Bergen, he said, being Black is like a horror, and that is actually true in some people's life, because you wear it. You take it everywhere you go. When you go into a meeting or wherever you go, it's people say, I don't see color, but I see blue sky, I see the green grass, I see everything. It's just a part of life. It's not a bad thing, but your first initial reaction is, okay, what you look like, and everything else is your judgments happen after you talk to them.
Totally.
But it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally get that. I think everyone can think about how if you're like a really big guy, feels like everyone's looking at him. And sometimes I feel like the really big guy in a room, and that's like its own feeling. But so I can understand that, and that's really interesting. So you worked on that. What do you have, like another project coming up next that's in horror? What are you working on next?
Oh, there's a lot. There is. So right now I'm writing, I just finished this series I'm writing it's called Community Standards. Elijah Howard, really amazing. He's a comedian, and it's comedy. So it's something I've never done before. I don't really do comedy. But what made me do it is I like the message that it has. It's talking about society. And I'm sure a lot of people had these kind of thoughts at one point. You know, how it's like you can be in social media jail, Facebook jail for saying what you telling your truths or whatever. But if you're speaking your truth, you can get canceled so easily. So I find that very interesting topic right now that I'm talking about.
That's cool.
So that's something that's down in the works. Then I signed it last year, but I can't really say too much, but it's something to do with sci-fi, thriller, kind of horror. Okay. So I'm super excited about that. That's later on in this year, hopefully. And you direct? Yeah, directing it. It's 6 or 7 episodes. Very excited about that. That's going to be great. Yeah. And I got that horror film that I did last year coming out called Night Games. So I get beat up pretty badly. Super excited about it. Nice. The blood, and it's so fun. I love it. And just I have my project that I directed and wrote last year, Green Heights Points, coming out this year. But yeah, just creating stuff. Got a few other things, some really big things. But I want to wait until they
get more solid.
Check mark that, because that's going to be one I'm like, ooh, I wish I could say it right now with who.
Good. That's good. I just want to hear that you've got things in the works, that you've got plans, that you're working on things. So that's really awesome.
Yeah,
What would
thank
you
you.
say is like the number one thing you want young people of color, young women of color, as advice or inspiration for following your dreams, your goals, your dream life? What's that thing you want them to be?
That your dreams are valid, that be happy and embrace who you are. Embrace your melanin. It's your superpower. It's not a bad thing. I know from in growing up, some people maybe have bullied or said things about you pertaining to your skin or your history or your culture. But that doesn't matter because you are strong, you are powerful, you can do anything you want. You can do it. And once you love yourself, that's all you need. So follow that dream. You can do anything, because I did it. I've had people say I wasn't their type, I wasn't good enough, or we don't want your type in the film. You're not what we're looking for. You're not. I've had it. I've had people say that, and I had to get to the point where I didn't take it as an offense. It could be I just didn't fit the role. I didn't fit the part, and it wasn't for a African American woman, and that's okay. That is okay, because I am beautiful, I am strong, I'm powerful. You're created in God's image, and that is the perfect image.
Amen.
So that's all I can say, is just keep going and have a good time doing it.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, you don't have to not have a good time just because you're young or just because you're new or beginning. Have fun with all of it and make it your own style. Put your own style on it from the beginning. That's my advice. It's like, you're not going to ever be the best at someone else's thing. Put your own spin on it, man. Just get started.
Get started.
So how can people best support you? How can they best follow you? Oh, I had one more question, actually.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
really important.
go for it.
So you do a really great job with promoting yourself, your personal brand, Meosha Bean Films. How do you get over that self-criticism to go all out and promote yourself? What are some obstacles that you've overcome in promoting and marketing yourself so proudly and so comfortably?
Thank you. I really don't care what people think. That's literally it's funny because my agent at the time, he passed away, this other one last year, actually. He was telling me, listen, people love your style. Put that out there. Put that through your brand. I'm like, you think so? I was like, isn't that kind of like self-absorbing? He's no. He's like, Meosha, you're like the farthest person from like self-absorbed person. He's like, why not? Like, he's like, models do it. They put themselves out all the time. You're just doing it in just a different way. That's promoting your company and your brand. That's all. And I was like, think about it. And then I would get a lot of people asking me like even just my regular clothes or what I'm wearing. They're like, I love what you're wearing. I'm just like, thank you. It's just that, but that's just me. I don't try to be like anyone else. I want to feel comfortable how I feel. And if I feel comfortable, I'm sure someone else could feel comfortable. So I got with a friend who he's like into fashion world, and I was talking to him about like how I can go about it. And I did that. He sent me a few leads and where to go, and I was super grateful for that. And then I ended up doing it just to promote my business. And then the people that started creating my clothes and other things like that, they were like, we like what you're doing, sign with us. So it's a job as well. But I just really wanted just another avenue of promoting my work. That's it. Because when you are your brand, walk into MVB Films, is just Meosha Bean Films. It's just my films. That's it. That's what it means. And I feel like I've always liked fashion. I've always liked that stuff. I really want to get more into the fashion world, like really fashion world, and maybe do something like in that field. But yeah, I feel like it's just another way of expression. And I just put it out there. And I think the first time I did like an ad or whatever, a fashion ad, video ad, people were like, oh my God, this is cool. I was like, thanks. So I was like, oh, thank God no one thinks it's like self-absorbing or like, oh, you're a narcissist or something. It's like, no. But my friend, she's like, only you could wear your face on your shirt. I was like, no, anyone could. For me, again, I try to make it all about pushing the brand of, it's all in the same
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything different outside of it. Just, it's all pointing back to my work.
Yes, that makes
all
a lot
of the
of
films
sense.
are just go watch the movies.
That makes a lot of
That's
sense.
it.
That totally makes sense. I tried doing a little spin on my GodXP merch, making it more like a fashion line, and it didn't go well. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. It's going to distract me, and you have to put a lot of emphasis into that if that's what you're going to do. So I just pointed it back at the brand, and you still can come out with a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
So now you have lots of merch on the Instagram. You have lots for people to watch. What's the best place? Where is the best place for people to support you? How can we best support Meosha Bean Films moving forward?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Meosha Bean Official. You can check out my work on Amazon. You can buy it. You can just Google my name and check out some stuff. I have a magazine that's coming out that I'm going to have 4 pages in it. So that's, people get to know who I am, the making of Meosha.
Sick.
Because I think a lot of people think, they're like, how long have you been doing this? I'm like, I know I look like I'm 12, but it's been a minute. It's been a minute, years. But I like people to know who I am. So I always say, just go and research me. Check out me from the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. There you have it. Learn more about Meosha Bean on her podcast, Creator to Creators, which you can find on her Instagram, Meosha Bean Official, on podcast platforms everywhere, and find a Meosha Bean film or series tonight and put it on with some popcorn and enjoy. Meosha, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show. It was a lot of fun, and we'll have to do it again for sure in the future.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone. Until next time.